y'all? Last week we had like the 20th anniversary of 9/11, which was the largest orchestrated political event in our history. And it seems like when you talk to people that believe the mainstream story, they're whatever about everything, but the one thing they hold on to is like, what about the eyewitnesses? What about the people that experienced all this and saw all this? What about their stories? And so we just wanted to talk about that for a while and look over some things. And one of the things we found recently, we just bumped into this story. First of all, shout out to Dr. Grande, who does pretty dope videos. He's a psychologist. I don't know how much you want to believe in that shit, but he's a psychologist that looks at cold cases and true crime stuff and does like loose psychological evaluations on people involved. Anyway, he did this video about this fake World Trade Center survivor, Tanya Head. I don't know if you remember, but back in 2012, this lady got busted for being a 9/11 liar. Anyway, check out this guy's video. He has some amazing points, about the psychology of people changing their stories and people lying about things and why people will believe them for a very long time, stuff like that. But anyway, check out his video. Tanya Head, right? We need to remember her name.
Yes, yeah, Tanya Head.
Lied her way into basically the highest positions. You see her here with Rudy Giuliani and Mayor Bloomberg in New York. She had this very, 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 very over-the-top, extremely emotional, extremely graphic story of, her day of basically getting hit by the plane. She says she was in the train set. Well, starting off, she wasn't even in the same country. She's from Spain. Mm-hmm. She lived in Spain and was in Spain for 9/11. But anyway, she tells this long story about how she literally watched the plane hit her, and it hit her, and she was like bludgeoned
tower.
with dead bodies and
blown
just
back and can feel the heat
story
from the burning fuel from the plane.
So she started this support organization that had like 2,000. It's like a 9/11 survivor group.
I don't think she started it. She started hanging around
She
it.
started
and
it and joined with another one, and they got really big.
She became the president or whatever. Got to the top of the main 9/11 survivors organization.
Basically, because her story was so much more extreme than anyone else's stories, because it was a lie. People didn't question her at all, and no one checked her background. Everyone just simply believed everything she said. And she said she was working at Merrill Lynch, in the trade tower, and that her husband worked in the other trade tower. Like this story is like, this lady's crazy.
She lied. She went far beyond where she needed to lie, basically, about being a survivor. I mean, her husband, she found this other survivor who was real and said he was her husband, and it told this elaborate love story. It was just, she went in deep.
Super deep.
And it's crazy how it took so long for her lies to be uncovered, because it's 9/11. Survivors of 9/11, very sensitive. People didn't want to question that. They didn't want to question her. They were scared to.
So there's this documentary about it, and we just watched it. It's only like an hour. I remember this happening, but it was around the time like Ron Paul was going off in the elections, 2012. So like I was learning a lot during that time, and this was just another obvious thing that, of course there's 9/11, but anyway, so this lady, and this documentary is very interesting because they talked to her friends and the people she was doing these groups with, And you know, it's just very, very interesting.
Yeah, they're interviewing these people, and they're speaking about their thoughts at the time and how they felt towards her, and you just see the emotional manipulation and just, it's crazy, the psychology behind these types of people who use these events to kind of slide in and get attention. I mean, they said she didn't really have any monetary gain overall from this. It was all just for
it was just BS.
For herself.
There's no criminal charges because she actually donated a lot of money the whole time. She just wanted this recognition, and she like told people these stories, and people like went home and had nightmares about this stuff. Like really
graphic,
crazy, mean lady. And I've seen people like this. It's funny. I've seen people in action, psychos. You know, like. And, you know, she turned everyone against, you know, the people around her that were figuring her out. And, like, a lot of people, you know, had, like, little sneaking suspicions about her and felt guilty over questioning her story, because her story was so over the top. Like, anyone with common sense was like, wait a minute, this story is gnarly, you know? But then they felt really bad because they're like, am I a bad person because I'm questioning this victim, you know?
Yeah.
And so you really get a deep look with this documentary and that psychologist YouTube video. You really see a lot of like the, you know, the strange psychology behind why big lies continue to you know, keep going and going without being found out. You know, government lies, corporate lies. Just normal people lying, it's pretty wild. And then, like, you know, we're in a time when everyone's like, oh, believe the news or don't believe. You know, people are so like, oh, the news lies, except they believe certain things that the news is talking about. And this is like, this further like invalidates the credibility the media has at all, because like,
I mean, look.
Everyone believed everything this lady, you know, had to say.
Giuliani. She's walking, Bloomberg. She's walking with these people.
The homies that run New York, you know. So.
How many more lies?
Yeah,
how many more liars has there been throughout history around these events?
It seemed like they just threw her under the bus because she went way too overboard and got too.
She got caught out.
She got too big she got too well known, and then her story was so BS, so they're like, it's like the powers that be turned their back on her. In the beginning, they're like, oh, this lady's dope, and then they're like, oh, this lady's gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah.
So she became the poster child for,
look at this crazy lady.
Look at this crazy lady and what she did. She lied about 9/11. Only a crazy old foreign lady would do that, you know, like, she became the scapegoat. You know, the government would never do that, you know, like that kind of thing. But both these videos are super, you know, they're really very interesting.
Yeah, definitely
and must watches, even though, you know, there's obviously a lot of status stuff involved. But just, you know, and then apply this information, you know, you can take it away from 9/11 and put it into the pandemic or any of these other questionable events. Events, I guess, in general. And you start to see, like, these people, you have the false flags where, like, the government actually, like, has people in there doing things, these crisis actors, you know, and they're told they're doing a drill or whatever. And then you have situations that happen where people just crazy people organically come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, they latch on.
And the powers that be have all the people in the world they need to keep the deception going.
Yeah, to keep the narrative of
people like this lady,
happened.
You know, who will just outright lie. And
she is a crisis actor.
Yeah,
she may or may not be a paid government or you know, court whatever interest actor, but regardless,
she became an actor, crisis actor.
She's lying. That's what actors are. That's what they do.
Acting is lying, and people think like, oh, the government's going to go to Hollywood and hire these professional actors, and like anyone can act. Acting is bullshit.
Yeah.
Just because you're not, you know, like some Brad Pitt or something, doesn't mean you can't act. Everyone can act, and this lady completely became someone else. And you apply this to all these other events. Then you apply this to the corporate world, the government world. Like, there's these hierarchies in the corporate world, just like the government, where only the CEO and the owner knows the real story, and everything else down from them is like a PR, just to make what they're doing look really good. And so, you never really know, even in this lady's whole world she's created, she's the CEO because she only knows what happened, and she's lying to everyone else. Yeah. Just like a corporate CEO can lie, or just like the president can lie. When you have a hierarchy, no one really knows what really is going on unless they're up there at the top. And realistically, even the guys we think are the top aren't really the top. There's, we don't know the real true elites. These Bloombergs and Giuliani guys, these are
players that are a little higher up.
Reality TV show stars. In the reality TV show, which is the American political system. Yeah. But it and it happens. This type of behavior you will find everywhere, of people simply lying. On 9/11, you heard the most of the accounts of 9/11 from people who were around the towers that first day. Nobody said they saw planes. Like, absolutely no one said that they saw planes. Then the farther along, all these people that said that they didn't see planes started saying they saw the planes. And basically, when the powers that be orchestrate a false flag event, they don't have to make it that great, because they know that people will come out of the woodwork. Good people, not even people that are psychos or liars sometimes, will
just whatever people.
They'll just believe, normal people will just start changing their story to whatever everyone is saying. They knew on 9/11 all they needed was an explosion, and if they told everyone on the street it was a plane, and if they showed videos in the news that there was a plane, everyone was simply going to believe there was a plane. They didn't need to actually fly a plane into the towers. They just needed to tell, because unless you're sitting several miles back from the city in like on a mountain watching it, you're not going to see a plane. If you're right in the city, you're looking at all these buildings in front of you. You're not seeing this 500-mile-an-hour plane coming at the city. No, so the people in the city didn't see a plane hit those.
Most people
they
just
saw an explosion. They reacted to an explosion, looked up, and saw fire.
They need to experience something, whether it's sound, visual.
And first thing, you're not like, oh, that explosion was a plane. Someone said it was a plane.
Happened,
and then on the news they show all these CGI videos. And you're just all, and then everyone saw a plane, and this lady got hit by the plane in the, it's just, the story gets crazier and crazier. But it's very, when there's a hierarchy, and that only the cops know some stuff, and the cops show up and they get all the civilians out and they write a report, and that report goes up the hierarchy, and then then finally the person at the top tells everyone what happened, and it's been changed completely. And so it's whether or not it's some crazy lady or it's Bloomberg telling the story, it's the same kind of social hierarchy that keeps people from keeps the misinformation around, and and then you have no one wanting to question any of these things because they're such traumatic experiences for these people. And how many of these crazy people have we seen in interviews about 9/11? I think it's a lot. It's got to be a lot, because a lot of these stories are just too much. But you definitely watch this documentary, The Woman Who Wasn't There. It's pretty amazing. And then watch the Dr. Grande. This dude's channel is actually pretty cool. There's some interesting stuff in there. There's a lot of BS in here, but this is his statements about this lady are very interesting and apply to a lot more people and situations than just this lady's situation. What do you think? What else? Oh, and also, you know, so, oof. So also another example of what we're talking about here. What's this lady's name? Elizabeth Holmes, Theranos. If you haven't seen this documentary, holy crap. This lady, this 19-year-old lady bullshitted all these old men into funding a device that was impossible to make. Became one of the biggest startups in Silicon Valley. Basically, they were going to build this little box that you can just drop some blood in, and it would do every test in the world for your health and tell you what to do or tell you a diagnosis like on the spot. Basically, revolutionizing the healthcare industry, you know, with one company. So it was a very big deal. She had like all these politicians and famous people backing her up. Multi-billion-dollar company in Silicon Valley. She was batshit insane. This lady, crazy lady, like didn't even speak with her own voice. She was emulating this Apple guy. What's his name?
Steve Jobs.
She was emulating Steve Jobs, basically. This documentary is crazy, but anyway. This documentary is a very good example of, you know, how the media, you know, or anyone or the government can dupe millions and millions and millions of people. This lady had her multi-billion-dollar company go to zero, and now she's, you know, heading to federal prison soon, probably, for lying to everyone. And this is also a documentary you should definitely watch, because so many people are so willing to believe everything that comes out of anyone's mouth or the news is advertising for, or, you know, these like Elon Musk type people that are doing these amazing things and like tons of amazing things, and it's just like, wait a minute, like, you know, how is it possible for, you know, this stuff just seems really out of extraordinary in a way that doesn't seem possible, and like people just believe all this stuff immediately, like without even questioning it because it's all over the news. But the news literally reports on anything, especially things that are wow, like real like crazy stuff. They'll report, you know, they used to tell people that smoking cigarettes was healthy, you know, like just tons of stuff. They'll report on anything, and so this lady, no one ever knew because of that hierarchy of there's a CEO and they keep their information to themselves, and they just PR campaign all the information out that they want people to believe, and then you have these complete lunatics that get so wrapped up in their own bullshit that they actually believe it and just lie till the death. Like, this woman is going to jail. She's in court now, lying to the judge, like bull-faced lying about how much, you know, when she knew that this product wouldn't work anymore. Like, they kept they kept taking money from investors for years, knowing that she couldn't build this thing, and she's just completely lying to everyone about it, and you know, everyone believed her, and everyone believes anything Elon Musk is talking about doing, as if he's already done it, and you can go visit, you know, you could go to Mars right now, you know, because he makes these commercials, which are these CGI fake space flight videos where he, like, recently he popped some randos into space, allegedly. You know, and everybody's just like, oh my god, we get to go to space now. And it's like, you know, all he did was made a video where it looked like he launched some people into space. And, you know, they did some stuff on the ground to make it look like they did something, like they launched some people into space. And everyone just believes it. everyone believes every single thing he says without any like real tangible evidence or like without questioning any of it at all. And like I get all these dudes, there are all these people who are like, oh, super science, science this, science has all peer-reviewed science, this is that, and the other, but questioning science is science, so like telling people not to question science is the opposite of science, and it's very strange that we can't, question these things still, and it's strange that there are certain subjects we can't question, and there's certain subjects we can question, and there's certain people get away with lying for so long because no one wants to talk about that subject that's taboo to talk about, and it's very unusual. But people literally get away with murder, and people get away with some of the biggest lies that are perpetrated in our modern history because of this, and it's very strange. But just check out all these documentaries. They're pretty interesting, and
what else? Oh yeah, I guess throw in there. So 20th anniversary of 9/11. Have a new story now. I think on 9/11, right? Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, which, small talk and brainwash. Look at the names, but it's just kind of like
on 9/11.
Yeah,
they released this story
20th
of
anniversary.
This like very orchestrated, very staged looking story about
YouTubers, influencers. They're young, they're cute, they're van life.
They're influencers,
outdoors.
But they don't have any followers yet, which is a little funny to begin with.
It's just the media pushing.
Yeah,
the story,
cute blonde gets murdered. But nothing is like, everything's wishy-washy, like at first like she was beating him, but then like it's just like the most divisive story you've ever heard in the world you've ever heard, because it's so divisive, and that so many people are going to argue about this, and so many people are going to get manic about this, and 2 weeks in, we see people, people are like bullhorning this family's house, screaming at them, like this, and immediately we see the news taking sides, big time, like taking sides and completely ignoring evidence, and it's just this huge, and no one's talking about Afghanistan anymore, no one's talking about COVID anymore. And it's like on to the next subject, and it's just this dumb thing that people are taking the dude's side, and people are taking the girl's side, and you see everyone lying about the facts and speculating on ridiculous things, and it's just like, even we've gotten caught up in it. It's really hard not to, but it's interesting. Well, I'm caught up in it because I see it as a psyop, and I see what is happening. Yeah, like how they're dividing every sentence of this story is like something that will drive someone crazy, basically.
Yeah, and there's always implications with every article title,
and they got all these Dog the Bounty Hunters in on it, and like you got all these
it's a media
Nancy Grace, and everyone's on it, and everyone has an opinion, and it's Republicans versus Democrats, and it's like it's all the stuff.
Oh, okay. And so then as they do with the conspiracy theorists, anyone who questions
QAnon,
the story, so it's a QAnon conspiracy
that
thinks that she's an actress.
Yeah,
and,
anyone who thinks that this is a staged event to do, which is exactly what we felt immediately. We're QAnon.
Yeah.
Which QAnon is like the used to be anonymous. Anonymous started kind of cool and then got co-opted, and then everyone, anon, anonymous people, and then now it's QAnon, and QAnon obviously is crazy, weird, strange, fringy Trumpers that were wrong about everything that happened And now it's almost like they're like, oh, it's white nationalists. Like they're like, oh, it's a Proud Boys or Boogaloo or whatever. Like they just like try and marginalize these people as it's just another word for conspiracy theorists, but they want to put everyone in that category, so anyone who is on the news sees them is like, oh, those are the Nazis, those are the racists, those are the white,
right.
like
whatever the latest.
Yeah, just like they, oh, if you think that if you don't believe everything NASA doing is real, then you're a flat earther. It's that same like, oh, we're gonna. It's a complete straw man attack for one. But it's funny to see smart people do it because everyone does it. It's absolutely bonkers. But yeah, so Gabby Talk Petito, Small, Brian, Laundry, Brain Wash,
Small Talk,
44, the 44, 33. There's been all kinds of weird things, and it's watching like a weird cheap soap opera. Like it's
That's kind of been my interest in watching this. This latest thing. I mean, you just gotta. You're seeing it from that perspective. It's wild, and the fact that 9/11 season, 20th anniversary, 9/11. I mean, there's a lot of parallels there. And then with the QAnon thing, the same thing they did with 9/11 truthers. They label them. They're crazies. They're this. You can't question this event. Either. You can't question the survivors because it's such a horrible. Or, oh, what are you, a conspiracy theorist? It's a dirty.
Oh, what, do you hate women?
Dirty label.
Do you support women beaters?
Yeah. Oh yeah, with this, yeah. Are you? Come on, and then
there's like millions of things you can.
So many, yeah. You just need to.
You
think
must
about
be
it for a little bit.
Something because it's just such a story that people will go crazy for. It's like when I was growing up, the fucking O.J. Simpson shit. It was the same thing.
Yeah,
like every house mom became an investigatory journalist and like started calling.
I was a little kid and I knew about. I remember I have early memories of like I remember growing up and knowing things about the O.J. case. Like what? Why would a little kid know? Like
and they know that like black people will get mad because it's like little white girl, lost white girl syndrome or something like that, where everyone goes ape shit if it's
racial
a cute
divide.
white girl.
Why are they reporting about it? Because they're white? Because she's cute white girl who got murdered? Like
tons of different. They both had psychological problems, but they weren't on meds. So this is a story. This is you gotta get on those meds or you'll kill your girlfriend. Remember Petito? They didn't take their meds. So it's like a pro big pharma
scare people away from alternative living, scare people out of the
deserts.
Be careful, it's dangerous.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff that will get boiled up because of this case, and none of it is really good. It's been interesting watching it, but it's interesting because we know what it is. We know it's likely BS. And if not, it's been co-opted and turned into something completely, a media feeding frenzy.
You see these things happening over and over, so to me, I don't know.
Like dudes kill their girlfriends every day, all over the place.
Right.
Like how come all of a sudden this one? It's because if it is true, if the base story is true, they saw all the value in it for them. They saw how much division it would cause. They saw how much people would frantically watch every second of whatever they put out. So these these other stories that aren't as boring, that aren't as like irritating. They let these pass. But they find these ones where they're like, ooh, this one will be juicy to put out there. People will go ape shit. And we all do ape shit, and we ignore things that actually matter, that mean that, or we're ignoring the things that are happening right now that our government's doing that are bad, or we're not investigating, these psychological ops that are being put on us, scamdemics, stuff like that. we're focusing on dumb things like fake stories, false flags, psyops, and people that don't matter, and people that are massive liars. So, is that it?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, we'll cut it up a little bit. Anyway, watch those documentaries. That's at least, you know, you got a week's worth of stuff there. It's pretty, or one night, really.
Depending on how hard you go.
Yeah.
How much of a binge watcher you are.
Yeah, it's crazy that 20 years, man. Crazy 20 years it's been since 9/11, that's for sure. I mean, I was like, yeah, it's been longer than that, hasn't it?
2001.
Because I was like 20 when it happened. 20. No, I turned 21 in
2001, 2011,
so
10
okay,
years,
yeah, that
20,
makes sense.
21, 20 years. I was 11 years old.
So anyway, check that stuff out, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.